Welcome to the newsroom. My name is Brian Jenkins. Today I will bring you headline news brought to you by signswatch.com. That's www.signswatch.com. If you find value in these headline readings, please like and subscribe to this podcast. And without further ado, here's your daily news. Today is March 3rd, 2026, and this is Update 1054. RAF Akrotiri base hit after Starmer approves U.S. base use. RAF Akrotiri base in Cyprus was hit by a suspected Iranian drone strike, causing minor damage. The UK Ministry of Defence is responding to the attack, which follows the UK's decision to allow the U.S. to use its bases for operations against Iran. Update number 1055. Drone strike hits Saudi Aramco oil refinery. Iran launched retaliatory missile and drone strikes across the Gulf, hitting civilian and commercial areas, including an Aramco oil refinery in Saudi Arabia. The strikes have caused panic and disruptions, with Kuwait reporting U.S. military aircraft crashes and the UAE suspending trading. Despite the ongoing conflict, life in Abu Dhabi appears normal, with citizens expressing faith in their government's ability to handle the situation. Update number 1056. Israel faces volleys of Iranian counterstrikes. Iran retaliates. Iran is retaliating against Israel and its allies in the American-Israeli war, launching missile and drone strikes on military and civilian targets. Iran has targeted Israel's government, security, and military centers, as well as Arab Gulf monarchies allied with the U.S., including U.S. bases in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Kuwait. The conflict has also extended to a British military base in Cyprus and oil refineries in Saudi Arabia and Qatar. The Iranian ambassador to the UN claims that the Natanz nuclear facility has hit during U.S.-Israeli strikes, but the IAEA chief lacks confirmation due to a lack of communication with Iran. The Iranian Assembly of Experts has formed a transitional leadership council compromising the Iranian president, the justice chief, and a representative from the assembly to assume the responsibilities of the supreme leader. Ali Rosa Arafi, a member of this council, is a potential successor, though he lacks the political background of his predecessor. Update number 1057. IRGC: Americans will no longer be safe, not even in their own homes. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, also known as IRGC, has issued a warning to the United States, stating that Americans will no longer be safe even in their own homes. This warning comes after the IRGC threatened retaliation for the killing of a Supreme Leader Committee member. The situation is further complicated by escalating tensions between the U.S. and Cuba, as well as attacks on U.S. Navy vessels and energy facilities in the Persian Gulf. The text discusses the escalating conflict between the U.S., Israel, and Iran, highlighting the potential for a larger war. It emphasizes the need for unity among people, regardless of political beliefs, against a common enemy. The text also interprets an upcoming blood moon eclipse as a warning to Israel and a sign of the rapture, urging listeners to stay calm and focused on Jesus. Update number 1058. U.S. troops in Iran. 3 F-15s shot down. Aramco in flames. France deploys nukes. Hormuz closed. The situation in the Middle East is escalating rapidly, with Iran targeting oil and gas infrastructure in the region. This includes attacks on Saudi Aramco, Qatari gas facilities, and Iranian ports. The author predicts a potential nuclear test by Iran as a demonstration of their resolve, followed by an ultimatum to cease hostilities. The situation in the Middle East is escalating rapidly, with oil tankers on fire and potential troop deployments. The speaker believes the goal is to incite a civil war in Iran and take control of its oil, benefiting China. This could lead to a widespread nuclear proliferation, with France shifting its nuclear posture and rumors of Israeli and Chinese nuclear tests. Tensions escalate in the Middle East as Iran and Israel engage in a series of attacks, including strikes on nuclear reactors and oil infrastructures. Iran threatens Arab states with retaliation if they join the U.S. and Israel, potentially disrupting the global gas market. The situation is further complicated by potential disruptions to internet traffic and aviation, with airspace shutdowns and numerous flight cancellations. Update number 1059. Iran's drones burn Saudi oil. MBS pays for secretly begging Trump to assassinate Khamenei. Iranian drones struck the Aramco oil refinery in Saudi Arabia, disrupting global energy flows and highlighting the escalating conflict. The attack, a response to perceived aggressions, has heightened fears of the war spilling into critical Gulf infrastructure. This comes amid reports that Saudi Arabia, led by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, secretly pressured the Trump administration to take military action against Iran. Update 1060. How Trump's Iran disaster is spiraling out of control. The Trump administration's recent military action in Iran has resulted in the death of 3 American service members and injuries to others. The administration's strategy appears to be to offer financial incentives to the remaining Iranian regime in exchange for reduced radicalism and cooperation on corruption and totalitarianism. This approach, while cynical, could provide Trump with political cover domestically by portraying the operation as a success without a large-scale American presence on the ground. The assassination of Iranian leaders is being compared to the Venezuela model, aiming to destabilize the regime. While the Iranian government is undeniably oppressive, the success of this approach is uncertain, as there is no established model for a stable, non-hereditary monarchy in the region. The timing of the attack is also questioned, with the administration citing an imminent threat from Iranian missiles, though this is disputed. The Iranian missile strikes on Gulf states targeting expatriate populations are a strategic move to instill fear and demonstrate their capability despite being under attack. This escalation raises concerns about a broader conflict, particularly involving Saudi Arabia, which could have catastrophic consequences. The Pope's condemnation of the attack adds a layer of complexity, potentially impacting political figures like J.D. Vance, who align with the Trump administration's actions. Update 1061. Khamenei falls at Purim. The Job 36:6 prophecy. The supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, was killed on the eve of Purim, a Jewish feast commemorating the defeat of Haman, a Persian official who plotted genocide against the Jews. The event coincided with a rare alignment of 6 planets and the upcoming blood moon, sparking interpretations of biblical prophecies. The video explores the significance of these celestial events and their connection to the story of Esther, emphasizing the idea of God's timing and justice. Update 1062. Psalm 83 war emerging. Iran escalates as biblical prophecy unfolds. The video explores the potential connection between current events and biblical prophecies, specifically Psalm 83 and Ezekiel 38 and 39. It suggests that the escalating conflict between Iran and its proxies, including Hezbollah, Hamas, and Shia militias, could be a precursor to the Psalm 83 war. This war, involving Israel's immediate neighbors, might lead to a temporary peace and expansion for Israel, setting the stage for the larger Gog-Magog invasion by a coalition led by Russia or Turkey. The ongoing conflict in the Middle East, particularly the escalation involving Iran, is seen as a potential fulfillment of Psalm 83, a biblical prophecy about a war against Israel by its neighboring countries. This view suggests that the events of October 7, 2023, marked the beginning of this war, with Israel systematically neutralizing threats from Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and now Iran. While this interpretation is not universally accepted, it highlights the persistent enmity between Israel and its neighbors and the potential for further escalation. Update number 1064. Phlegraean Fields Under Pressure. Pink Lake Avernus and Extreme Temperatures. The Phlegraean Fields, a complex volcanic system, are showing signs of pressure and temperature changes. While the pink hue of Lake Avernus is a chemical biological phenomenon, the overall system remains dynamic with ongoing deformation, gas emissions, and high temperatures. Daily monitoring and data collection are crucial for understanding and responding to these changes. Update number 1065. Mediterranean coast crumbles. Scientists wrong as 130 million face catastrophic flooding. Sea level rise in the Mediterranean is accelerating with rates approaching 6 millimeters per year in some areas, far exceeding the global average. This is due to the basin's unique geography, which traps heat and exacerbates thermal expansion. The consequences are catastrophic, with increased flooding, coastal erosion, and a loss of natural defenses, putting millions of people and numerous UNESCO World Heritage Sites at risk. The Mediterranean coastline faces a severe crisis due to rising sea levels and land subsidence. Climate models have underestimated the impact, leading to a false sense of security for the 150 million people living within reach of the sea. The situation is urgent, with 37% of the coastline critically vulnerable, and the number of people exposed to flooding events projected to increase by 130% by year 2100. Update number 1066. California earthquake activity is increasing today. Ongoing Nevada earthquakes. Earthquake activity is increasing across the West Coast, particularly in California, Nevada, and Washington. The Illusion Trench and the San Andreas Fault are showing significant movement, with smaller tremors also reported in the San Ramon and Pinnacles area. While nothing major has occurred yet, the increasing pressure and strain along the plate boundaries warrant vigilance. A 4.9 aftershock occurred near the Volcano Islands, Japan, adding stress to the area. The Big Island of Hawaii is experiencing a sequence of earthquakes with a 3.9 magnitude event recorded, suggesting a potential eruption in the coming days. The flare threat from sunspot 4384 is low, with no significant aurora activity expected. Update number 1067. Anglican divisions deepen as rebel clerics pick rival to first female leader. A conservative Anglican group, GAFCON, is meeting in Nigeria to elect a rival to the first female Archbishop of Canterbury, Sarah Mullally. This move, driven by theological differences, particularly regarding same-sex unions, threatens to further divide the Anglican communion, potentially leading to a schism. While GAFCON claims to represent the majority of Anglicans, this is contested. and the Anglican Communion, with its diverse global membership, faces a precarious future. Update number 1068. State Department orders all Americans to leave 14 countries immediately. The U.S. Department has ordered all American citizens to leave 14 Middle Eastern countries immediately due to severe attacks on embassies and increasing danger from local populations. Iran's missile launches, combined with potential support from Russia and China, are depleting the defense missile supplies of countries like the UAE and Bahrain. The situation is escalating, with reports of significant damage in Tel Aviv and suppressed casualty figures. The situation in Iran is escalating rapidly, with the U.S. and Israel launching airstrikes on southern Iran ports. Iran is retaliating by targeting vessels in the Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf, including those carrying Iranian nationals, which could lead to a global recession due to the disruption of oil supply through the Strait of Hormuz. The situation is further complicated by the potential for a wider conflict involving other countries in the region. The situation in the Middle East is escalating rapidly, with the U.S. and Israel launching strikes on Iran, leading to retaliatory attacks and warnings from Iran. The situation is further complicated by the potential for nuclear escalation and the involvement of other countries like North Korea. Amidst the chaos, the host emphasizes the importance of faith and the imminent rapture of the church. Update number 1069. In the next 24 hours, things will spiral out of control. The U.S. is preparing for a massive attack on Iran, potentially involving ground troops due to escalating tensions and the possibility of Iran possessing nuclear weapons. The situation is further complicated by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and attacks on oil and gas infrastructure in the region, raising concerns about global economic repercussions. The speaker warns that the next 24 hours will be chaotic and urges caution. Update number 1070. U.S. sinks Iran's navy. Israel pounds Tehran and Hezbollah. The U.S. and Israel are conducting a joint Operation Epic Fury to dismantle Iran's regime. The operation aims to end Iran's nuclear program, destroy its military capabilities, and empower the Iranian people. Despite Iran's retaliatory attacks on neighboring countries, the operation is progressing swiftly, with significant damage inflicted on Iran's leadership and military infrastructure. The Iranian regime's actions have led to increased support for the Iranian people's uprising against the regime. The Trump administration's strong stance against Iran, coupled with Israel's military prowess, has weakened the regime's power and influence. While the best case scenario involves a weakened regime unable to repress its people, the worst case scenario involves a more dangerous clerical regime or a military dictatorship. The Iranian regime is facing a significant challenge with the potential for a new era of freedom and democracy. This moment is seen as a fulfillment of biblical prophecy, with the downfall of a regime likened to Haman from the book of Esther. The Iranian people are hopeful for change, and there is a growing Christian movement within the country. Update number 1071. Parliament flattened in Iran. Saudi Arabia deploy forces to fight IRGC. The Iranian government infrastructure is collapsing, with the IRGC focusing on missile launches and air defense. Saudi Arabia, under attack from the IRGC, has deployed forces to Bahrain. The IRGC is using cluster warheads, and the UN is investigating. The situation in the Middle East is escalating, with the U.S. military targeting Iranian defense systems and preparing for a new phase of strikes against missile production, drones, and naval forces. The U.S. has confirmed that all 6 American troops killed in the region were stationed in Kuwait, highlighting the need for improved air defense systems. Meanwhile, Qatar and the UAE are reportedly running low on air defense supplies, raising concerns about their ability to defend against potential attacks. Israel has been hacking Tehran's traffic cameras for years, using the footage to monitor IRGC officials and plan targeted attacks. The conflict escalated with Iranian drones targeting the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, prompting a shelter-in-place warning for Americans. Meanwhile, Abu Dhabi is under attack from Iranian drones, with some hitting civilian areas, though no casualties have been reported. The Islamic Republic of Iran is launching attacks on multiple countries, including Bahrain, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia, in a desperate attempt to prolong the regime. The U.S. is retaliating strongly, with President Trump promising further action. The situation is escalating rapidly, with the potential for a full-blown war in the Middle East. Update number 1072. Trump's panicking as Texas could turn Democrat. The Texas Senate primary on March 3rd is crucial for Democrats who hope to flip the traditionally Republican state. The Democratic primary pits progressive Jasmine Crockett against centrist James Talarico, with the latter potentially appealing to crossover Republican voters. Meanwhile, incumbent Senator John Cornyn faces a tough primary challenge from the unpopular and corruption-plagued Ken Paxton. In the Texas Senate race, John Cornyn, a 4-term incumbent, is facing a tough primary challenge from Ken Paxton, the impeached Attorney General. Despite Cornyn's strong conservative record and 99% alignment with Trump, he is trailing Paxton, who has faced allegations of corruption and personal scandals. The outcome of the primary could significantly impact the general election, with a Paxton victory potentially giving Democrats a chance to win Texas. Update number 1073. Hezbollah missiles last night plus Rubio. Destroy Iran's missiles. Could this be a fulfillment of Jeremiah 49:35-37? Hezbollah launched 6 missiles towards Israel, intercepted by the Iron Beam laser defense system. This marks the first combat use of the system and a significant escalation in the conflict. Marco Rubio's speech calling for the destruction of Iran's missiles aligns with the prophecy in Jeremiah 49:35-37, fueling speculation about the fulfillment of biblical prophecies. 2 F-15 pilots ejected over Kuwait and Iran, highlighting the escalating conflict. The U.S. and Israel are conducting massive airstrikes on Iran, targeting leadership compounds, missile sites, and nuclear facilities. Iran is retaliating with missiles and drones, causing casualties and disruptions in the region, including the potential closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The Israeli Air Force destroyed Iran's communication and propaganda machine, targeting the Iranian Broadcasting Authority. The United States is preparing a response to an attack on its embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which resulted in the deaths of 6 to 8 U.S. service members. The situation in the Middle East is escalating, with evacuation warnings issued for southern Beirut and a ring of fire building around Jerusalem. Update number 1074. The strengthening and confirming of the covenant. The video discusses Gabriel's role in Daniel 11, verse 1, where he confirms and strengthens Darius the Mede during the transition from Babylon to Persia. This act is seen as a pattern for the last days, highlighting the spiritual warfare involved in establishing prophetic timelines. The video connects this ancient pattern to current events, suggesting a reverse pattern is unfolding in the end times. The video discusses the rising Babylonian spirit, paralleling the ancient pattern of Persia's fall and Greece's rise. It highlights the emergence of Reza Pahlavi, the Persian crown prince, and his role in strengthening the Abraham Accords, aligning with the prophecy of Mystery Babylon. The video also draws parallels between the angelic dynamics in Daniel's time and the current spiritual conflict, emphasizing the significance of Gabriel and Michael's roles. Update number 1075. U.S. says get out now. Prophetic Times. The U.S. State Department has issued a security alert for Americans in the Middle East, urging them to depart due to escalating safety risks. This comes amidst warnings of a major uptick in attacks in the region, with the U.S. reportedly preparing for a significant military response against Iran. The situation is further complicated by the potential fulfillment of the Jeremiah 49:35 prophecy, which predicts the destruction of Iran's military capabilities. Tensions between Iran and the United States escalate, with Iran threatening attacks and the U.S. conducting military operations. The Strait of Hormuz, a critical oil route, is reportedly closed, causing oil prices to surge and raising concerns about a global recession. Amidst these developments, Israel conducts ground operations in Lebanon against Hezbollah, while Iran's actions are seen as a threat to regional stability and a potential precursor to a larger conflict. The speaker expresses excitement for the rapture, likening it to a Galilean wedding. They encourage viewers to accept Jesus as their Savior, emphasizing the importance of this decision for eternal life. The speaker shares a message of salvation, highlighting Jesus' sacrifice and the need for belief in his atoning blood for forgiveness of sins. Update number 1076. How long until the rapture? The video discusses the prophecy of Jeremiah 49, suggesting that the reinstatement of Prince Reza Pahlavi in Iran will lead to the merging of the Cyrus and Abraham Accords, marking the beginning of the Great Tribulation. The speaker believes this will happen before the rapture and urges viewers to accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior to avoid the coming judgment. Update number 1077. Qatar launches war in Iran. IRGC running out of missile launchers. Qatar has launched airstrikes against Iran, targeting the IRGC and missile sites. The situation is escalating rapidly, with Israel and the U.S. also conducting attacks on Iran leadership and military assets. The Iranian regime is facing significant losses, including the elimination of its new defense minister and the targeting of the Assembly of Experts during the vote for the next supreme leader. The IRGC is facing significant setbacks as Qatar distances itself from the organization, and the destruction of key IRGC buildings, including their headquarters and the Assembly Expert Council, reveals vulnerabilities. The IRGC's threats to attack economic zones in the Middle East, including energy infrastructure and civilian areas, underscore their desperation. Meanwhile, the potential for the constitutional monarchy in Iran is gaining traction, with a referendum expected to decide the country's future government. The Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, issued evacuation warnings for Tehran's industrial area and Estaglal neighborhood, targeting Iranian military infrastructure. The IDF also destroyed an ammunition warehouse near Vard train station. President Trump stated the U.S. is open to supporting armed groups in the Iran against the Islamic Republic, including Kurdish factions in the northwest. U.S. forces are continuing Operation Epic Fury, targeting Iranian missile launchers with surgical strikes. The operation aims to destroy Iran's offensive missile capabilities, with reports suggesting half of the launchers have already been eliminated. While the U.S. and Israel are expected to provide humanitarian aid and potentially military support to the Iranian people, the focus remains on neutralizing the immediate threat posed by Iran's missiles. The 12th Shia Imam, believed to be in the afterlife with Jesus, will lead Judgment Day. The Iranian people, not external forces like the U.S., will decide their future through a referendum. The current situation is volatile, with attacks on Iranian infrastructure and the assassination of a key IRGC leader in Lebanon. Update number 1078. 6.1 earthquake, Sumatra region. Large earthquake swarm, Aleutian Trench. Monday night update. A 6.1 magnitude earthquake occurred near the Java Trench in Sumatra, but it was not strong enough to generate a tsunami. There has been an increase in earthquake activity around the Aleutian Trench in Alaska, with several quakes in the 4.5 to 5.3 magnitude range, indicating potential for larger activity. The Atlantic Ocean, Mediterranean, and New Zealand regions are currently quiet, while California shows minor activity, including a 2.5 magnitude earthquake near Little Rock. A swarm of 130 earthquakes in Nevada, with a 1.7 magnitude being the last reported, is being monitored. The swarm is unusual due to its movement against the typical north-south fault lines. The lunar eclipse will be live-streamed at 1 a.m. West Coast time, with totality expected at 3 a.m. This concludes today's newsroom headlines. Again, my name is Brian Jenkins, and you can find these newsroom updates at signswatch.com. That's SIGNS watch.com. If you want to hear more of these updates on a daily basis, don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.